Hey, welcome to Scot Ferrell Show. Thanks so much for stopping by. Great topic today. How to blend a family or families successful. So you're going to want paper, pen, use your thumbs, get your iPhone out, whatever it is you use. You're going to want to take notes. It's that simple. How to do it successfully. A lot of people do it. I talked to kids. I talked to a few this morning that have been blended into a family. But doing it successfully is a whole different ballgame. All right, before we get into that, let's talk about great coffee. Dirt Park Coffee, my sponsor for our show. There you go. Cool cup they got me. I'm the only one that gets this cup. Don't go buy it. They don't sell them. I wanted to be unique. Best coffee I've ever had, straight from Costa Rica. Heather and her team are fabulous. I just went by on the way today. Got the macaroni salad. Wonderful. And I don't normally like that stuff, and I actually like theirs. And they have great chicken salad, which I normally get daily. And muffins and peanut butter balls and cheese sticks or straws, as you call them in the South. And sometimes, occasionally, she doesn't like me to spill the beans on the sausage balls. But if you want good times, relaxing atmosphere, great coffee, you have to come to Summerville. Are we not the center of the universe, Summerville, Georgia? If you don't know where it is, type it in Google and see, because it's a spectacular place with a lot of nice folks. And we tape our show here. No, we don't live here, but we do tape the show here, and I come in and get coffee often throughout the week when I'm not traveling. So Dirt Park Coffee, great, downtown Summerville. If you're ever on the way to Huntsville, don't miss it. It's wonderful. All right, let's get to the show now. Blended families. When I say blended families, let's play this psychology trick. What was your first thought? I said blended family, you thought what? Yeah, a lot of people have different thoughts on that. Why am I doing the show today? I had somebody ask me, and I've run into so many people from blended situations that are less than wonderful, and most of them are very unhappy, and nobody seems to get along. So why don't we cover a topic that can help a lot of people figure things out? How's that? So as long as I taught almost 25 years. I was a teacher, and I would ask the kids, let's say I started my career in 1990. How many of you guys are from divorced families or blended families now, divorced, previous? Not many. I didn't have a lot of kids that were product of divorce at the beginning of my career. Now, by the time I left about 12 years ago. I think it was 70 to 80% of the kids that I spoke with, parents were on second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth marriage. And they were many were forced to not just do one set of siblings, but two set of siblings. So what happened is mom and dad get divorced, mom gets remarried, dad gets remarried, mom gets divorced, mom gets remarried again. Are you keeping up with me? Dad gets divorced, gets remarried. Okay, now mom and dad are in marriage 3. Each one had previous kids, and now everybody's having to meld together from different situations, different priorities, different roles, and then try to make it successful and figure it out. Yeah, you can imagine. That doesn't work. That does not work. That's never going to work. So what I want to go over today is, first I'm going to go over all the hassles you have with blending families. We're going to go over all the bad and all the ugly. Then at the other half of the show, I'm going to go over how to make it all go away and how to make it successful. All right, so bad first, good later, right? Isn't that how you want news dropped off on you? Go over the bad and then cover the good. So we'll do that. All right, so bad. Let's think about all the bad things that could go wrong in a blended family. 1, mom and dad, the new mom and dad, let's say we have 2 divorced people with kids. Let's do this without confusion. And they've decided that they love each other and they want to get kids. Now, definition of a blended family is just someone from one background blending with another. That's it. You could basically say a blended family could basically be a first marriage. We don't call it that. We call that the first marriage. We call anything after that blended families with kids. So we always assume if we say blended, someone has kids, whether one spouse or the other has kids or they both do. Okay, so that's our operating definition for today. Somebody's got kids and they get married. Okay. So the 2 people go on a date, external of the rest of the families and the kids. You never take everybody on the first date. This is not Italy, 1930. Like in The Godfather, where Michael always had to go with the family and Mike walk around Italy with his wife-to-be. No, we don't do that. So you go for another date, and another date, and another date. And you go, okay, I think I want to make this long-term. Now, meet the kids on both sides. Let's say both groups have kids. Now we have to meet everybody. Okay, so first you meet the kids. Then if that goes well, you meet the parents, aunts, uncles, whoever's on their family. Normally do a holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, come over for lunch. Don't stay too long. Or somebody's birthday party or a wedding shower, something to get you in front of the family. I remember I used to date a lot of Latin girls from South America. I got the whole family in one dose on Sunday night. So I met everybody at the same time, all 20 to 50 of them, and it turned into quite the party, and it always went well. So they were always really sweet to me. So let's think about this. We have two people that think they're in love or want to get married, whatever the reason. I've gone over various reasons why people get married. So let's look at all the issues that could crop up if I want to blend this family and this family. Okay. Baggage from previous relationships. We're not even to the kids and the family yet. We're still on the couple. Have they made peace with all the baggage they had previous to this relationship? Or are they still taking that baggage, putting it in a suitcase, and carrying it forward? So now everything that the previous spouse did is carried forward, and the new spouse is blamed for it. And everything the parents did, and all the bad programming and everything, that comes forward. Has anybody changed anything? Good question. There's two people in a relationship. There's a reason why people get divorced. Normally, there's some blame on both sides. Now, it may be 99% in one, but there's normally blame on both sides. Okay? Next, we do have kids. Okay, so she's got kids, and let's say it's me. He's got kids. Okay? Two different backgrounds, probably. Two different expectations. Two different sets of programming. Maybe you can see where the wheels could fall off here. Then we add into addition. We've got grandparents on one side, grandparents on the other. We may have 2 to 4 sets of grandparents on each side. We have aunts and we have uncles. Depending on how many marriages we've been through now, I'm getting people that come to talk to me as a pastor, and they're on marriage 3 and 4. So I have to almost take out a whiteboard and draw out a family tree just to figure out who I'm talking about. All right, so we can see how this can get convoluted, right? All right, then we have an ex-spouse, or we may have 2 ex-spouses, or we may have 3 ex-spouses, depending on who you're talking to. And lately, for me, when I talk to folks, it's 2 to 3 ex-spouses that have different priorities. And then what happens if the lady has 3 kids, but they're from 3 different fathers, and every father wants a piece of time with the kid, and then this person shows up? See how this can get convoluted quickly. And then there may be court battles going on for either side. Maybe a custody battle, maybe stalking, maybe harassment. Whatever the battle is going on right now, the other spouse may be in court because they're going to jail. I don't know how many of those I get. So you don't know. You may have kids completely out of control on one side, and then the other kids are wonderful, and they're lovely, and these kids are bound for the penitentiary. Things you got to consider, because those are real life things. You have to think too, I get a lot of believers that go, well, I'll get them saved after I marry them. Well, no. Do they believe in God? If you believe in God, do they? This is where, not ethnicity, but the way you were raised does matter. What are your priorities? Is your priority God, or is there Satan? Or I've seen people do it. I've seen Christians try to marry Satanists. It don't work. I've seen lawbreakers marry non-lawbreakers. Still doesn't work. I've seen alcoholics and drug addicts marry people who are clean. Still didn't work. Why? We didn't really delve into what was going on. You have to think, why are we really dating? Is it sex? Is it really good sex? Is it because we like each other? Is it because we listen to the same music, we work together? So what started the fire to begin with? Was it just revenge because you hated your ex-spouse? You needed a place to live? You need somebody to pay your bills? We really have to examine these things. You have to examine everybody's subconscious programming. Yeah, programming does matter. It is the one thing that will determine the rest of your life's success. Well, now that I've got, how many relationships do we have? We have 2 marriages over here, 2 marriages over here. That's 4. You're divorced for a reason. Now we have to look back and go, grandma and grandpa, great-grandma and grandpa, both sides. We really have to analyze what's going on. What's the dynamics of the family that have continued forward to now? A lot of people don't look at this, and that's one of the first things I do. And then we have to sit and go, okay, all right, got that. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, either side. Got to deal with it. Is anybody still currently using or not? Is there a current user in the home that the parent is subsidizing? So you go over one day, you want to go see your girlfriend. She's got a drug addict son in her house. What do you do? Is that something you can tolerate? These are things you have to look at and analyze. Man, just because the sex great don't mean that this is going to work out, because normally what we do is we use sex as a tool to stop us from really examining somebody else's life. And like I said, I've done the show, Make Your List. I doubt having a drug addict as part of your family was on the list. You really have to examine these things because nobody's making you get married. Then I've got my list for you now. That's why I'm looking down. Child support. Who's paying child support? How much is it? Are you Ric Flair to where you're paying, golly, what was his tab per month? $80,000 a month. I think he owed every single wife $20,000 a month. I think some of them have dropped off now. He actually included it in the 30 for 30. I think it was either 80 to 100 grand before he paid himself was going out the door every single month for the marriages and the kids. That is something you really have to look at. Then you look at, okay, birthdays, holidays, who goes where, what's in the court documents, who's got what, who's got the responsibility of this. Is it a half day on Christmas? Is it a half day at Thanksgiving? Who has them when school gets out? Is it summertime dad, summertime mom? Is it half and half? What kind of custody is the arrangement? Are we having to go back to court and settle things? Are there any accusations on either side that I'll be called to testify in court about? All these things need to be considered. I talked to a lot of couples, and they never went over these before they got married. Okay? Parenting styles. Oh, boy. What we normally see is we have one parent who's pretty stern discipline-wise, and we have one parent that it's all hell breaking loose and chaos on a daily basis. Okay, one style really doesn't gel with the other, and then what happens is you'll have kids together. So you'll have this group of kids from the chaos side try to corrupt the disciplined kids. The other disciplined kids don't really like it because their life's running pretty well. Then we have fights and fusses, and all hell breaks loose again. And then when the kids go to one spouse, it's all hell breaks loose, and then they come home and it's quiet. And then it takes some time to reassociate back with you and what your parameters are in your house. I mean, it does happen. All right, what else do we have? Living arrangements. Yeah. Who's moving where? Whose school's the priority? How old are your kids? Where are you going to put them? What's the court document say on where you can move? Can you move 2 hours away, 2 states away? Can you move at all? Are you required to live in the same neighborhood? Do you have to stay in the same house? Does the new spouse have to come with you? All things to be decided because they are big things. And you run home and tell your kids, hey, oh, by the way, I'm pulling you out of school today. I know you're a starting quarterback and you really like cheerleading or you like the art club or you like what's going on, but hey, man, I'm getting married and we're leaving. That never goes well. So remember, the kids aren't the ones dating the person you are. So when you bring other people with you, you got to really sit down and talk about these things. All right, then you think about education, college, maybe prep school, high school, private school. Who's expected to pay for that? Is it the new spouse's job to pay for your kids while he watches the ex-spouse not pay child support? Seen that happen. Or both ex-spouses not paying child support, but now he's expected to take the brunt of all the finances. Private school, college, wedding. I've read a lot of stuff online to where this one guy raised the girls, but on wedding day, they decided they didn't want him at the wedding. He could pay for it. They let him pay for it. They just didn't want him to walk them down the aisle. It was the guy that just got out of prison. I actually read that story last week. No, I'm not writing any checks for that one. All right, so all these things have to be considered, and people don't look at them. Then medical decisions. Oh, this is a big one because we just saw, I think it was in the state of Washington, of course, to where a lady transitioned the child without the father's permission. The guy has recently gotten full custody of that child transitioned him back from a woman back to a guy. But how many parents agree on what's supposed to take place? Vaccinate, not vaccinate. How to treat them. If they get sick, where are we going? Are we going to integrated medicine or are we going to traditional medicine? What are we doing with this? Because with medical, we have to go with diet. What are they eating at home? One house may be complete junk food. One house may be, wheat germ and everything healthy. What is it? What's going on here? How are we treating this situation? Hopefully by now you started to go, holy crap, there's a lot to go into this. I didn't realize that there was this much. I'm leaving stuff out, guys. I only got an hour with you. I'm leaving stuff way out. This is a 3-day seminar. One whole day is just on all the bad. Because you have to consider everything before the merger. Now, let me go over how to make this successful. I want to see what the perfect family looks like here. And this is who we idolize as the perfect family coming up on the side. All right, why do we do that? Why do we say perfect family? Because when I was coming up, I idolized these people. I was a big Marsha fan, but I like Jan actually more than I did Marsha. And now Cindy's the pretty one. But we hold them up as being perfect because in TV you can make it perfect. Mom, dad, let's think about this situation. Both spouses passed, okay? So now there's no ex-spouse. One's got all girls, one's got all boys. Easier transition sometimes with that and miraculously they seem to be the same age. Wow, TV at its best. Then they have a live-in housekeeper who's lovely, a butcher who's great. I always like that actor. And then world-famous athletes always come over your house, and then you go to Hawaii and surf. How picture perfect could this be? And then Mike the father always had the perfect answer for everything. He's an architect. Mom's beautiful, lovely, sweet, everything you could ever dream of. No talk of grandparents, so to speak. I think they were worked into a few shows, but not many. You got to remember when this show came out. Good grief. I'm these people's age. I think I'm Peter's age. Peter's my age. So you have to think about how long ago this perfect family showed up on TV. There were no talks of alimony. There were no talks of child support because the spouses were dead. There was just talks of love and combination, and they always had family meetings, and Mike Brady did everything right. And then if they were having a problem, they could talk to Mrs. Brady or Alice. Was it Alice? Alice, the housekeeper? Yes, it was Alice. And everything was wonderful again. Great show. I wish it was like that. I really do wish the Brady Bunch was real. But unfortunately, like my 3 sons, I wanted that show to be so real because I had an Uncle Charlie. I had Uncle John and Uncle Frank, and they were my Uncle Charlies. They were both World War II vets. One was in the Battle of Midway. They were my heroes, and that's how they acted. And they took really good care of me. But that's TV. It'd be great if life was like TV, but it ain't. There's a reason why people turn in weekly to watch these shows because what's TV's purpose? Got a little fan issue today, guys. I got to get my paper out from under here. I got Peace Sasquatch helping me today, as you can tell. Throwing the peace sign to you, so hopefully you feel relaxed today. I just broke Sasquatch. Wow. Don't tell anybody I just broke Sasquatch. I'll glue him back together. Nobody will ever know. Take a sip of coffee. Get your dirt pour. Order it online. Go see them. All right. How do we make this work? I've just gone all the tragedy of multiple marriages. How do we make this work? All right. You say, I love you, you love me, let's get married. Okay. We met the kids. A lot of times when you meet the kids, you may or may not like them. So we have to look at this. Everything's like a merger. I always look at marriage as a merger. You're merging company one with company two because you can't think company one and company two are much better and profitable in product together. Well, what happens in a corporate merger? You have to figure out who's in control. Company A and Company B merge. Who's in charge? Is it Company A's board or Company B's board and CEO? Who calls the shots? Well, a lot of people get married and don't figure out who's in charge. There's always one person at the top that makes the decisions. There still needs to be one person at the top. Now, when you blend a marriage, you get married, normally it's the spouses together. It's equitable. You sit down, you say, okay, we're going to co-run this company. And you sit down first because when you go look for a CEO or a chairman, you always have to look at what they bring to the table personally first. All right, does this person have the resume to run our corporation? Let's say, a big coffee company needs a new CEO. Do they have coffee? Do they have coffee experience? Have they run a multinational corporation all over the world? What's their cap? Can they run a billion-dollar company? Do they even know how? Do they have the expertise? Do they have the know-how? Do they have the contacts? Same thing here. Parents have to sit and go, okay, I'm divorced. Maybe this is number 2 I'm divorced in. What needs to change about me to make this enterprise successful? What do I need to leave behind? What do I need to bring forward? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What's my past hold? What's in my programming that's causing me to keep getting divorced or marry the wrong person? See, they have to self-analyze. What are they bringing to the table that's good, and what are they bringing that's bad, and what do they need to improve? To run a company, you got to have your stuff together. Ask Cracker Barrel. Boy, finally, that chick's gone because she destroyed the whole company. You're not getting married to destroy your life or your kids' lives or the grandparents' lives. You're getting married because you said you were in love and you didn't think you could spend the rest of your life without this person. Well, which is it? Are you going to be willing to look in the mirror and go, the following 10 things are messed up about me, I got to change this. Or I'm going to be on divorce number 3 here soon. And remember, who gets the shaft every time that you divorce? Well, it's the kids, because now we figured out who the CEOs are. It's co-chairmanship, you and your spouse. What are the roles? Who's the employees? The employees are the kids. What are their roles? I talked to a young lady the other day, and her father married another lady who had daughters. Well, she was a lot younger than they were, but on her other side of her family with her mother married a guy, and they had little kids. So half the week, she's the big sister taking care of everything. The other half the week, she's the little sister by a lot of years. And the confusion takes place of, who am I? What's my role? What's my job? I don't know what to do here. And for a child at 3, 4, 5, and now 16, 17, it gets very, very confusing because you've been thrust into a role you didn't ask for. No, mom and dad wanted this role. You've kind of had to adapt. So what you do is, since you're co-chair people, you sit down with all the affected parties. Kids first, then external. But the kids, you have a meeting like Mike Brady did, like we did. I'm a product of a vended family. My son was way out of high school by the time I met my wife. She had little kids. So you have to sit down with a whiteboard. All right, we're co-chairing this company. Here's how we measure profit, love. Here's your roles. Here's our roles. Here's your roles. Here's how we're going to make this work. Why do I say treat it like a merger? Because it is, because divorce can be one of the most expensive things you ever do, and divorce can be one of the things that ruins your kids' lives. Especially if you marry the wrong person, they start beating the kids, molesting the kids. How many of those stories have I heard in the last 2 weeks? It's heartbreaking. See, this is why this is so important. You've already reviewed your spouse's resume. Hopefully, they're qualified to co-chair this company. But then you have to look and go, okay, once we have the family meeting, what's our corporate ethos, as we would say, or how do we see the world? Through our new blended family, like ours was the Ferrell family creed, we wrote out a creed after the family meeting of what our priorities were in life, what we wanted to receive, how we wanted to do this, what the kids' roles were, what our roles were, just like a company. And you write out a family manual. That way, once you do this, it's a company, remember? You're filing with the SEC. Well, here you're just filing with God. But he wants to know your plan. All right, so you put out a business plan. Let's put out a family plan. See, the family plan clears up any issues that could come up. So you go over all of them. What are all the issues that could stop this company from being profitable? Write them out. It's not the perfect family. You know, you go back to, oh, well, they did it, or they did this. No, the Brady Bunch was on TV. They're not real. It'd be great if they were, but they're not. But you can get as close to the Brady Bunch as possible. But you got to put together your corporate manual. Now, what's in the corporate manual? Well, the roles of the kids. Right? Who do we have? How many kids do we have? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Because we're trying to figure out how to help them. All right, we got chores at home to do. How do we assign the chores? I don't want to give it to some kid who just hates that and doesn't have the skill set for that. No, let them do something they're good at. It's got to get done. Just get somebody on the job that's good at it. Remember, kids are being trained to leave you and be independent and contribute to society. That's your job as a parent. They're not easy labor. They're not free labor. You're always training the kids to be independent of you. So you have to think about, how are we going to onboard the kids? How do we get them on board with this merger? Because as we know, a lot of kids are resistant to coupling, I would say, as far as getting married. Because if this is mom's third marriage and dad's third marriage, which I got a lot of that this week of people saying that, they're over it. They're like, it's like being in a corporation, and I've known several friends that were with big mergers to where this was the second, third, fourth time their company had been bought out. More of the same. They roll their eyes, don't want to do it, wait for the CEO to get fired or for the next capitalization to crop up. Well, kids are going to do that too. Why should they receive you as chairman and CEO? What are you bringing to the table? Now, I'm not talking about malcontents on the way into prison. That's a whole different show. I'm just talking about normal kids. And kids are kids. Kids do the same things. They mature at the same rate as we did. So how are you going to talk to them? You were a kid once. What'd you want out of this? If your parents got remarried, what'd you want out of it? I'm not talking about selfish things. I'm talking about receiving love, respect, being able to talk to somebody. What is it? And then you onboard the new hires, those are the kids, and you introduce them at the company merger meeting. All right, here's your brothers and sisters, strengths and weaknesses. Here's how we're going to do this. Here's how we're going to divide out jobs and labor and everything in our family. And now you have to sit and think about, what's the perk package? What is a perk package? Well, what are your health benefits? What's my salary? What are my paydays when I'm sick? Do I have a car? Do you have continuing ed for me or my family? Do you have HSA? What do you have? Okay, when's my vacation? Where can I go? Can I win trips? What's going on here? What's in the perk package? Well, you got to do that with the kids too. Well, you have to do that with the spouse, but you have to do that with the kids. What's the perk package of this merger taking place from family one and family two? All right, so talk about, all right, this is how we did it. Ask the kids, especially G, the little one, where do you want to go this year? He likes sports. So our perk package was going to see basketball games all over the country. I really like Duke in North Carolina. I'm from there. So we would go. He got to meet Coach K. We would go to Duke, North Carolina State, and Wake Forest games. Auburn, Georgia. You know, we tried to hit ACC, SEC within a reasonable drive time. Or Disney World. So what we would do is we would sit down, map out for 12 months ahead of schedule, 12 months, I don't like surprises, what we were going to do every month. So we would label out perk package, what's our fun family activity this month? Let the kids pick it. All right, let's go do it. Have a blast. We have lots of adventures under our belt from that perk package or trips, because it's no fun if they don't want to go do it. So it's like coming to work when the companies merge. If the job's not any fun anymore, the employees are going to quit. We don't want the kids to quit on you. You want the kids to enjoy this and be part of this and enjoy it and really not want to leave it. If it's fun, they're not going to leave. Now, I realize that every day it's not fun and giggles, but when you go on vacation, let's go have some fun. And if they've got input on it, where we're going, dollar figures, talk openly about it. If you were going to do this for your company, let's say you have a meeting, cost in a company is always considered before you do something. Can you make the money back? Can you make profit off this? Well, the profit on the merger with the kids and the trips is love, peace, memories, things they can go on and do with their kids, your grandkids. You want to give them something to hold on to. We stopped giving presents at holidays and started taking trips. That was the best thing we ever did. July 4, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then we did something in the spring. And normally something in the winter. Winter's always basketball. And then in the spring we do baseball. So what is it? What's that perk package got to have? And he said, okay, got that done. Got the benefits packages handled. Now let's think about what we want our workplace environment to be. Most people, I can't do this new communal work where everybody sits in one open room and talks on the phone and works with headphones on. I can't do that. That's chaos to me. That's Gen Z doing that stuff. I don't know how anybody does that. It'd be like me trying to do the show with somebody talking in my ear. That'd be an impossibility. But what do you want the work environment to be like? Is it calm and peaceful, where people just can relax and they come home from life and they can just walk in and go, oh, I'm home? Or do they go, I don't want to go home. It's chaos, man. All people do is scream, holler, and fight. I don't want to be there. This is no fun. I didn't sign up for this. I need a transfer. I need to go get me another place to live. No, you got to sit down with everybody and go, okay, what do we want the environment to be? What are we sleeping on? What are we eating? What's our living room look like? What's the rules for the TV? What's the rules for electronics? What are we doing here? What makes this merger profitable? Well, happy employees make the merger profitable. Within reason. I didn't say give them everything they want or listen to every whim they have. That's not what I'm talking about. What makes this peaceful? Every time I go into a company, I survey their peace meter. And if it's not peaceful, I'm like, this ain't going to work. Nobody wants to work for you. And nobody likes you anyway. You don't want your marriage and your family to be that way. You want it to be harmonious. What's it going to take for this situation to be harmonious? What do we got to change? What do we got to do? What do we have to implement? When I was a teacher, I always let my students make the rules for the classroom because they were brutal. Mine were way easier than theirs. But boy, I let them take the reign. Now, the rule was nothing more than 5. Anything past 5, that's ridiculous. But 3 to 5, that's good. Everybody gets it. Because if the kids made the rules, they enforced the rules. And I never had to say a word. Kids would be like, you're not supposed to do that? I mean, the kids would jump on them. Well, same thing here. At our home, we just said, what's feasible? All right, we want harmony, we want peace, we want love, we want support, we want to really invest in each other. What's our rules? No more than 3 to 5. All right, everybody agree? Everybody in, everybody voted. Okay, everybody signed the piece of paper. All right, we've all agreed to follow this set of rules for our home and for our environment and for our peace and the way we relate to each other and the way we love each other. Okay, everybody's agreed on it. Everybody understands the terms and conditions. Everybody understands the consequences, good and bad. Remember, consequences aren't anything. They just measure good or bad. Done. All right, from this day forward, this is how we will operate in this company, family. Now, we look at transportation. Because eventually somebody's going to want to drive a car. Eventually. Although I'm seeing kids now not rush to get their driver's license. I know kids that are 19 that still don't drive. We lived out in the middle of nowhere. My dad, on my 16th birthday, got me up at 6, took me to get something to eat, took me down. We lived in a small town, so there were only 2 cops. So I got there at 8. The police chief was there. He got in the car with me, did my driver's test. I had my license. Joy of living in a small town, and I live in that now. So my dad wanted me to get my license so I could go work on the farms. We had 3 different properties, and I had to go cut the grass on all 3 and do all the maintenance and stuff. My brother was already at college. So my dad didn't want to take me. So we had this old farm truck I drove, so it was my turn. Hey, the kids got to go work. Wish I gotten paid for it, but I didn't. But transportation, who's paying for it? Who's paying for the car at the age of the 16-year-old? The 3rd husband, the 4th husband, husband number 1, the baby daddy? Who's paying for this? Grandpa? Which grandpa? You got 3. See why you got to have rules, because this can get out of hand so fast, it'll make your head spin. And then you're divorced again. Next, settling disputes. How do we settle things when we are not happy with each other? Hollering, screaming, punching is not going to work. Doesn't work in the corporate world. It ain't going to work in a family. You may want to, and some people need a good smacking. Blended family. You gotta have rules. What are the rules? What's allowed? What's not allowed? If we have a dispute, how do we settle it? Here's what you do first, and you do this in every relationship you're ever in. Write out a list of the 15 to 20 things you will always argue about. They're there. I have this talk with young couples all the time before I marry them. Write them out. Write out the solution prior to being angry. When you get angry, you're in it to win it. You're just going to want to win. No, don't do that. Nobody wins a fight. Nobody wins an argument, so to speak, emotionally. You do physically, not necessarily emotionally. Because again, what's the job of this family? To make a profit, which is love, togetherness, happiness, joy. Keep in mind what the profit is. Settle the disputes prior to marriage. All right, so our kids are this kids are this, we're here, grandparents. All right, how do we settle all the things that are coming up? Let's write them out. What is our non-emotional solution to these problems? Again, we all have to agree on it. That way there is no, you didn't tell me, I didn't agree to this, and another fight breaks out. No. In a company, you don't get to do that. You don't get to march your happy self in your boss's office every time you don't agree with something the company does. You'll get marched out, all right. You'll have 5 minutes in a box as security's taking you out. Same thing here. You do not want to irritate the kids because you can't get your stuff together. Well, if you do all of this, can the kids get angry? Sure, everybody can get angry. But can they say, everything was not explained in advance on how we were going to do things? The answer is no. Same thing in a company. When HR has gone over everything with you, you've signed the dotted line, you say you got it. You acknowledge that you watched all the when you get onboarded, you have to watch videos and or talk to HR, sign off on the fact that you watched them. All right, you signed off on the fact that you understood, and you understood the outcomes in advance. So now don't come back to me and be all upset about it because you were on board on setting the parameters of this. All right, so keep that in mind. Then you have to sit and go, okay, always somebody against a merger. Look at what Paramount Plus is going through right now. Somebody's always against the merger. Who is it? Ex-spouse, the kids, mom, dad, great aunt and uncle, grandma and grandpa. Who's against the merger? You know you got to handle this. Just like any merger in business, you've got to handle the naysayers. You have to handle the people that want to sue you. In every merger, right now, Paramount Plus is handling that. Well, in a family, you got to do the same. Okay, what are the concerns? Are they legitimate? Are their concerns legitimate? If they're not, you don't have to listen to them. But all right, who's saying what? And then you have to take that and go, okay, is an ex-spouse poisoning the kids against my new relationship? Just like corporate espionage, where you got a mole in one company and they're feeding the other company information. Yes, you get that all the time in second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth marriages. Has the ex-spouse turns the kids against the new spouse and told the kids not to listen to them. I see this all the time. On top of, we've handled our environment in our home. Remember something clearly. The only corporate environment you can handle is the company you own. The ex-spouse and their company, you don't have any say-so or jurisdiction of what they do in their home. That's what makes this really difficult because you could have a well-oiled machine at your house, and then they go to Captain Chaos's house, and it all comes unglued. And then it takes them 3 to 4 days to get adjusted to you, and by the time they get adjusted back to your environment, they have to go back to Captain Chaos. Or there's two sets of rules, and we're seeing this in the WNBA right now. There's rules for one set of kids, and there's more harsh rules for the other kids. We call this Cinderella syndrome. One set of kids are Cinderella. They have to do all the chores and everything, and if something goes wrong, they get yelled at. The other kids never do any chores, never do anything, and never get yelled at nor disciplined. That's a problem. How you going to handle it? You got to talk all these things through prior to that happy matrimony period, because what happens if you don't handle this well. Well, you're getting a divorce again. Your kids are going to hate you. I mean, there's so many scenarios that can come up from this. You have a lot of disgruntled employees who do nothing but trash you online. Things to consider before you say, I do. Because, again, what's the profit over here? It's love, peace, harmony. But what happens if the two exes don't have love, peace, and harmony? They don't have chaos. You're back in court again. Okay, when I go back to court for the third time for allegations that aren't true, how are we going to handle this? See, these are things a lot of people don't think about. But in the corporate world, we do, because before you merge with a company, you have to do your best that you can due diligence. Can you find everything? Not always. You can't find everything about your soon-to-be spouse, always. People will tell me all the time, I got married and they changed. Well, no, they were the same person. They just did a really good job of acting. Yes, it is possible to get tricked into matrimony with someone who's done nothing but a good acting job. That is true. You can get fooled. But do your due diligence to the point of what you can do. Every merger I've ever seen, they did all their due diligence, all the financials, who's on board, who's the competition, everything's on the table. Everything has to be examined. Problem in marriage, we just feel this feeling, we feel all twinkly, and the sex is great, so we just jump right in. I don't see mergers working that way in corporations. Yeah, now, two people may be having sex from competing companies, but they ain't making the decisions. That's got to be on dollars and cents and what's the profit and can I make a profit or we're not going to do this. Same thing here. Can we make everybody in this company, all the kids and the two parents, the only people that matters who's in my house, can we make this a profitable company that not only helps our love grow, but can help our kids' lives grow and help them become better people and become better contributing members of society? That's what you have to decide. Because, remember, you don't want to merge two companies based on hormones. You want to do it on characteristics. That's why before you even start dating, you sit down and write 50 to 100 characteristics of the next person you're going to date. I didn't say looks. Looks don't matter. That'll handle itself. You ain't going to marry somebody you're not attracted to. What are the characteristics that are non-negotiable, 50 to 100, that you have to have in this next relationship? That'll weed a lot of problems out because we're going to marry like marries like. As far as socioeconomics and everything, Pretty Woman was a great movie. Yes, they would have been gleefully happy. They were really the same people. I think Edward Lewis says that in the movie. They just had, but did she really have such a different background than him? From childhood standpoint, she actually had a better one. And she was loving and she was tough and she was exactly everything he needed. Remember, ladies, we don't really look at your checkbook when we date you. We're looking at characteristics and do we love you? Women do that, we don't. We feel like we can, all right, I'll take care of that. All right, so now that we've decided to merge, again, what's going on? Where do the kids fit in? Has everybody signed on the dotted line to this merger? Who's holding out? Why are they holding out? What are their concerns? I know this lady, she was on Marriage 3. This is years ago. I don't even know where she is now. And I saw her at a gas station one day, and I said, well, how's everything going? How's the kids? And she goes, well, I got married this weekend. Huh? I didn't even know you were dating. Yeah, we kept it in secret. We didn't even tell the kids. The kids didn't even know we were dating. We ran off to the Justice of the Peace and got married. What? I said, how'd the kids handle this, considering y'all both have high school children who know each other, who didn't know their mom and dads were dating, may not necessarily like each other, and now this is being dropped out of the middle of nowhere, that now they're going to live together and they have to get along. Oh, by the way, we're all moving in together when we have one happy family. Deal with it. Ended about the way you thought it would. I don't understand why people do that. I don't understand that. See, the great thing about marriage is nobody makes you get married. Even Britney Spears figured out after she got drunk in Las Vegas, maybe it was a good idea to get an annulment. Nobody made you marry that person. And as a pastor, I won't marry you unless I know God 100% told you to get married and all this stuff lines up, or I will not do the ceremony. Now, I know I'm not the norm, but I don't want to marry somebody and turn back around and watch them get divorced. That's not any fun. And then I'm not signing up for the next marriage when I told you not to marry this dude to begin with. So the great thing is I could put my hormones and my feelings on the shelf for a second and go, is this a good merger? Yes or no? Not a lot of debate, because I've written everything out. Is this a good merger? Did God tell me to merge this company and this company together? Because if he did, it may not always be the most fun. If God told you to do it, he'll give you the tools to work it out. All you have to do is listen. But if he didn't, why are you doing it? This is going to end in heartache. It's going to be a very expensive heartache. It's going to end with a lot of hurt feelings. It's going to end with a lot of kids mad. You can lose your kids through this process. You have to be ready for everything that's going to get thrown at you. Ex-spouse problems, lawsuits, litigation. Mom and dad may not even like the spouse. I went through that. My in-laws hated me and wished I would die. And the last one died. I had to put up with that for 20 years. But God told me to marry my wife, so okay. I looked at it this way. Eventually they'll die. And they did pass. And we never worked any of that out. But I was told to do something, so I did it. Okay, and then everything else worked out. We had our family, everything else worked out. Everything in our home was fine. See, I can't control another person's company. I'm not on their board. I don't have any jurisdiction over what they do or say. I can only handle what happens in my four walls or in my yard. So I have to do the most I can to handle that. That's my company. My business is not what somebody else is doing. Now, it will affect me, but I can only handle what I'm doing. Keep that in mind. That's why you go through all these steps prior to the merger. Everybody with me? You smelling what I'm selling? All right, good. All right, I got to get on to the mailbag, but I wanted to make sure. Let me see the Brady Bunch one more time. All right, this is our ideal family. This is what we held up for so many years as being perfect, because it was. The problem is it can only be perfect on TV. Remember, we're not on TV. This is not the Truman Show. And you see how the Truman Show ended. Couldn't take it either. This is not, what's the other one? Pleasant Valley? No, this Pleasant Valley, Sunny, that's the Monkees. Pleasantville, where everything's color and beautiful. Those don't exist, man. Everything's got some warts on it, some bumps on it, some bad times, some good times. Just make sure the company merger is based on profitability, and which is love, peace, and harmony. All right, let's get to the mailbag. All right, if you need to send me a question, it's show@scotferrell.com. It helps if I pick up the right piece of paper. Got the mailbag questions on it. All right, got to put Chewbacca back on my paper, so we'll hold it. Thanks, Chewy. Show@scotferrell.com. If you have any questions for me or need my help, it's scotferrell.com. And you can reach us on all these platforms and social media. Remember to like and subscribe. That helps us get up in the viewings. Remember, if your friends can benefit from any of the stuff that I say, that's why I do this, just forward it to them. Now, don't be that friend that just sends it to them and go, you need to do this. They're not going to watch the video, and they're going to say lots of bad words at you. Just say, hey, man, I saw this video, thought you might appreciate it. Leave it at that. All right. Question number 1. I'm not going to use any names today. My parents hate my girlfriend, but I love her. What can I do? Well, you could kill him and bury him in the backyard. It always works for the mob. No, I'm kidding. All right, parents hate my girlfriend. Well, I went through that. Why do they hate your girlfriend? Or is anything they're saying valid? You didn't pick this girl up at the Capri Lounge last night, did you? Parents sometimes have valid, sometimes they have invalid. What do your friends say? Always go on what my friends say about who I'm dating or who I'm going to marry. My friends have my back and they love me. And I always trusted my friends if they liked somebody or not. Because, one, they had to put up with them. Remember, your friends have to be with you with her. What are your friends saying? Always look and go, any of this valid? People will say stuff, and I'll go, is that valid? Any validity to what they're saying? Or are they just jealous and don't want me to be happy or whatever it is? Is there validity to what's coming out of their mouths? You need to weigh that. Remember, once we start having sex, we stop listening to the outside world, especially if sex is good. If sex ain't good, we're not going to date you anyway. But if the sex is really hot, that's why I always tell people, keep the pants on. Keep the pants on, get to know each other. We stop listening to the outside world, and we do something really stupid. And we start letting our hormones make our decisions, not the characteristic list that we made out or what we said we prioritized in our lives. So I don't put a lot of salt in the parents' like or dislike. I don't have your age. Anything over 40. I think I was 40 when I met my wife. Yeah, who cares? I don't really care unless the stuff is valid. Now, if you have a really close relationship with your family and it's healthy, see, I didn't have any relationship with my family. My parents had already passed, so I didn't have any of that. So, look, is it anything valid? Is it valid? Do I really love her? Did God tell me to be with this girl? See, all these things have to play into this. This is just not a very simple answer just because somebody doesn't like somebody. All right, next question. My cat has passed. Can I get over it? Well, currently I can't get over it, so what do I do? Okay. I can speak to this one personally. When I was terminally ill, we had a cat. And I grew up with tons of cats. I grew up out in the middle of nowhere. So the cat would come and sit on my feet and purr, and then I taught my cat how to ask for what she wanted. I do behavior. So 1 tap was she wanted to be petted, 2 taps was milk, 3 taps was the bathroom. Because at the time when I was really sick, we had to put her litter box out on the deck. And she would tap me 3 times, and I'd go open the door, and she'd go, and she'd come back. And when I had a little table beside my chair that she would come over and just tap, tap, tap. And after she tapped me twice, she would get off the table, go to the refrigerator, and stand in front of it. So it only took me like a month to teach her how to do this. So I always knew what she wanted. Well, when she died, I grew up in the country, man. I've seen more animals die than you can imagine. I've had to put animals down. The rifle's there for a reason. It's the only time I got upset. I was like, cat died. Why am I so upset about this? Well, cats are our kids. Pets are our children. What would you do if your son just died? Well, your son did die, or your daughter did just die. We pour so much love and affection and attention and activity, and our whole lives are wrapped around our pets. How many people do you know can't leave the house without their pet? I have a dachshund, a beautiful little dachshund. He's my nephew. That should tell you something. We love the dog. It's like our church dog's name's Bella. I love Bella. Bella, I've moved now, but Bella always got a croissant before church. It was me and Bella. I didn't talk to anybody else but Bella because Bella couldn't complain. All she did was love on me and lick me. And I gave her croissant, and then before we started the service, she'd go to sleep. Like they all said, we all want to go to sleep too, but Bella's the only one that gets to. I've been putting people to sleep for years teaching high school, with their eyes open, actually. So what do? Well, you grieve. Okay. What do most people do? Now, keep this in mind. Let's be real here. I grew up in the country. Animals have a lifespan of X. From 9 to, our cat lived 20 years. Yeah, amazing, wasn't it? So you have 9 to 20 years with this animal. If you're 50 and you like animals, how many of these iterations are you going to go through? Well, you could go through 4 or 5 by the time you pass. Understand it's coming. Grieve the loss. I hate to say this, but go get another one. This is my 4th nephew. Because dachshunds, again, have a certain lifespan. And even though they're sweet and cuddly and we love them and we want to keep them forever, that's just not feasible. So I'm not saying keep one waiting on deck, but, it's like, how many Uggas have there been at Georgia? 14 Uggas at Georgia. That means Ugga 13 ain't with us no more. So it happens. Just deal with it is stressful. You are going to cry. You may have to take a few days off from work. Your child just passed. The great thing is with pets, you can go get another one and you can love on them and you know that eventually it's coming. All right, let me get the next question. I want a dirt bike. My wife doesn't want me to have one. Now what do? Get a divorce. Are you kidding? If this is not a priority to her, get rid of that woman. Run over with it. Actually, when you're backing out of the garage, just say you didn't see her and run over. I'm kidding. Why do women, and I can speak from experience, why do women not want us on motorcycles? So we're not on the side of a milk carton and or up on that marquee when you pass the funeral home, your name's not on it with your little picture going, today's service is at 2 for so-and-so, killed on a motorcycle. I don't get to even look at motorcycles. I don't even get to stop at the Harley dealership. I might be tempted to get one. I have a brain injury. I'm not allowed to get on a motorcycle. Doesn't matter how much I want one. But what happens if it's for work? All right, that's different because what if you live on a farm, you got a hunting base, you got a hunting camp. All right, it's either a motorcycle, dirt bike, or you're going to use a four-wheeler. It's one or the other. You don't have any choice. So that's when the understanding has to kick in because I'm not out joyriding. This is for X. No different if I had a farm, I'd have to have a four-wheeler. Now, when I was a kid, those didn't exist, so I had to walk. And on our farm, I could end up walking 2 miles. I'd rather drive. So for a dirt bike, getting around a farm, a hunting lodge, in the mountains, that's ideal. You're not out doing X Games. You're not going to jump off the 50-foot ramp. You know, what's his name, Robbie Madsen, the guy that jumped on the tower at Caesars. No, you're not doing that. You're just trying to get from A to B. Now, men can be chronically stupid, and we do a lot of stupid things. It's amazing I'm still alive to this day. Anytime we say, hey, man, that sounds like a great idea, somebody's going to the hospital. Or I double dog dare you, somebody's going to the emergency room. I mean, hold my beer, going to the emergency room. Somebody's going to surgery. So just don't say that. I mean, just go out, use it, teach her how to ride. Maybe she'll enjoy it. People, if you didn't grow up riding dirt bikes, it is so much fun. Riding dirt bikes is fun. If you've never done it, I encourage you to go do it. I'm not allowed currently. I can't ride a bicycle right now. But dirt bikes are so much fun. Yeah, can you get hurt? Yeah, I had a friend break his back in 3 places. He was a professional motorcycle racer. Okay, I'm not doing that. I'm just riding it around my farm. So sit her down, explain it to her, why it's a necessity. Make some promises. You better keep them of not being an idiot because all they can see is death, destruction, and you getting yourself killed on it. Promise not to do those things. Live up to the promise, and most of that will go away. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Show at scotferrell.com is how you reach us. You can go to my website, scotferrell.com, if you have any questions about me, my resume, what we do. We help people and companies solve problems. That's what we do. We don't overcomplicate, and we do it as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Remember, tell somebody how much you love them today, and I'll do you a favor. I'll meet you back next time. Take care.